Okay, good. Good evening. I'm Robert, and this is Day or Joe, and we're R&J, and we are reviewing Once Upon a Time, Season 4, Episode 15, Poor Unfortunate Soul, which I think is probably the best episode they've had since it's come back.
Yes, yeah, I could definitely agree with that. A beautiful story was told this episode. I really have to say, good for them with this episode. This really was a quite beautiful episode.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it brought back Joanna Garcia, even if it was kind of a cameo for Ariel, but it worked. I mean, Ursula, her whole backstory was done really well, and it worked out for her. Like I have no like real complaints with this episode, except maybe for a little bit at the ending, but I don't really care about that. But overall, I thought it was really good. I found it kind of funny how when Ursula was gone for the whole time with Captain Hook, how no one, like her friends, didn't care that she was gone for hours.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like she said, she's going to stretch her tentacles, and she was gone the whole day.
Yeah, I didn't think much about that, but yeah, that's a good point. And I guess that contributes to at the end when she said we have a traitor, that it becomes more believable.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, I guess the backstory is pretty much the Little Mermaid, the movie, being taken to Ursula the Sea Witch herself, or which I thought was an interesting way to do it. Like they have some fun nods back to the movie for sure. One of them being Ursula is singing. Ursula is a mermaid in the beginning of the movie, and Ursula is singing Fathoms Below, which is the opening song of The Little Mermaid for every Disney fan out there. And she's a mermaid, so like it's calling back. She's using a siren song, which is kind of calling back with the old mythologies for mermaids, because in Little Mermaid herself, Ariel was not very siren-ish. And so yeah, she's doing that. We find out that her father, is doing it because he's grieving over the loss of his dead wife. And that emotion, then you go. I don't want to remember the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it was a great way to tell the story. Ursula being the daughter of Poseidon, and the siren song, that addition made for a really interesting not turn, but a backstory for a character that really was uninteresting before this episode, I really have to say. But this episode pretty much didn't change my opinion on the present character, because the present character was still boring, but had a pretty interesting past. But this episode was for Ursula, and this was her send-off in many ways, and it was beautiful in that regard, and that ending was great for her. So.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, she meets Captain Hook, and he's nice. Like Killian, and he somehow connected to Peter Pan still, but like thank God Peter Pan was not shown. And Captain Hook is like, I'll help you, and she's happy that he's willing to help her out. And Poseidon comes like, I'm going to give you this book, this magical shell to take away Ursula's voice. It's a nod to Ariel right there, and then he doesn't do it. But then he does do it because Poseidon took away his chance to get revenge on Rumpelstiltskin. So it's not that I don't think Hook was like the bad guy. He was just more so angry because I felt that he would want to give back to Ursula, and he obviously did, which gave Ursula her happy ending in the present.
Right, and you see how far Hook has pretty much come. Hook is in many ways a different character. However, you still see how back when he was his old self, you see that. You see the roots there. You see where he started, where he ended up, and you see he had good in him. He just made bad choices.
Yeah.
You see now how he tries to fix that. He still has those bad choices in there, and still contemplates it. But he's still trying to be a good man.
Yeah. He has a code, his honor as a pirate, and as a reformed pirate, he's definitely able to live up to that more than when he did when he was a person in his past. And I mean, her backstory pretty much that was it. Like her backstory ended up being she lost her voice. Her singing voice was this magical voice that could enchant people. And she takes her father's trident, which I have to say looked like a prop from my party. Very bad visual effect right there. She stabs herself and becomes tentacly. And she makes this fun comment to her father where she says, "You named me after the sea goddess Ursula of old," which means that Ursula that we see is not the Ursula goddess that attacked Regina back in the season 3 episode.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the same person.
Wait, so there's two Ursulas?
Two.
What?
There's two. Yeah. One's a goddess, one's a demigoddess.
That just blew my mind. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I caught it. I had to rewind. I rewound it to make sure I heard it properly. She said, "You named me after the Ursula, the old sea goddess of old," is what she said. So the sea goddess that Eric's kingdom worshipped was that old one who was 1,000 years old, the one that the Mer people worshipped. Ursula then, like Ursula, the one that we're watching, who is the sea witch because she had magic. That's what she did. That she took on the tentacles to be more threatening.
You don't think we'll see the other one ever, do you?
No, I mean,
Yeah, I doubt it too.
because I mean Poseidon was so one-off in this. I mean, which is fine. I'm okay with it being one-off. That there's no reason to bring back the Ursula.
Right. Right, definitely. We have kind of missed out on something we haven't talked about yet, which was a big part of the episode, and that's hashtag fairy tale torture. With
yeah, well, I figured the way I like to do Once Upon a Time reads is always like go flashback, then go into Storybook, and then that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we have not talked about that yet, and that was definitely a good chunk of the episode.
Yeah, but to wrap up, Ursula's backstory was good. It was good. Like we see why she is that way, and hey, you know, even the actress, who played young Ursula, she was good. Credit to her.
Yeah, and she kind of turned good, I guess, at the end, right? I mean, we were calling that for someone. We had said Cruella, most likely, but
Yeah, you know, well, to spoil the end of it because it does tie back. Hook gives. Actually, I'll talk about the end. But Ursula gets a happy ending. But we'll talk about that in a second. How? So, Joe, let's talk about the fairy tale torture.
hashtag fairy tale torture. Yeah, torturing Pinocchio. That was pretty brutal. Don't lie or your nose will go fire.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, like that's. I thought it was a great way to kind of like because when he was in August, his nose never got bigger. Obviously, I liked how they did it like that. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was creative. It was clever. And August seems to be back, at least momentarily. So cool. He was cool.
So August is around. I mean, it ended up being we find out that they need the author to change their happy endings, and August knows where they are, and he was able to lie to make Maleficent, Regina, and Rumpel go out to look for him.
Which was great because he was lying without really lying. That's Pinocchio. You know, they put a fun little twist on Pinocchio. So
we found the loophole in the lie, which is great. And then I mean, most of the time it was like, I mean, then excuse me. Then after they go away and Cruella is watching him, I just love how she's sitting there. She's like, "I'm glad you weren't turned to wood. Like you're much more handsome." And then she gets banged in the back of the head with a frying pan.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I hate to say it, the fact is Cruella's supposed to be a queen of darkness, and a bang on the head knocks her out.
Yeah, this kind of really just backs up the fact that it's hard to say three now when it comes to the queen, because now there's only two. It's
really one.
The darkness. They're still just very unintimidating. You know, they look like. Okay, now the Three Stooges aren't together anymore, but I guess you can kind of just throw Rumpel in as the third Stooge now.
Yeah, he's totally. I mean, Robert Carlyle's acting is always good though, but I mean, it's the queens of darkness with the king.
Right, but yeah, that was a fun, creative way to get the story across.
Yep, and so I mean, so what happens in present day Storybook is like I said, Ursula is, she says she's going to stretch out her tentacles, and she meets up with Captain Hook, and Captain Hook has her voice in the conch shell, and he says, if you get me back to Jolly Roger, I can get you your voice back. and Ursula's able to get it for him, but it's in a bottle. And then Will Scarlet comes in, actually does something interesting because supposedly a main character, and he's been doing nothing. So this is the most he's done. So he got a little something from Wonderland, named the ship again, and who was in the ship bottle with him with the Jolly Roger?
The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid, Ariel was in there, and I just thought that was like Ursula. It gets to the point. Ursula is like, I'm mad at you. Nothing's working out in my favor. Ariel's there. Ariel goes and gets Poseidon to give Ursula back her voice, and it's a happy ending for Ursula. By the way, I did like the fact that we got a little bit of a nod back to what happened with Hans and Blackbeard when Ariel talked about it. I don't think we'll ever see it, but Ariel said she got swept up in Elsa's magic, which shrunk the ship.
Mm.
So I just like that. I like the nod back to it. I like the fact that Ariel knows of Elsa for some reason. I don't know why, but they're always connected.
Yeah, I hadn't realized that. I had just assumed, because I didn't remember where Ariel went. I assumed that she just like went off with who's our Prince Eric? Is that? Yeah, I assumed that she just went off with Prince Eric and lived happily ever after.
She did, but for some reason she must have needed to go to Arendelle. For some reason that would never be explained. And she was wrong place at the wrong time, and she got shrunk in a bottle.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can accept it. I'll accept it. Like, I think it's fine. Like, I'm okay with it because it's a way to tie back the stories again. But to end it, they free August, and Ursula gets her happy ending. Her father comes, and they get her, and he gives her back her voice, and Ursula's happy again, and her and her dad go back to the Big Blue.
Yes, they do, and then that was the end for Ursula. So now she is not in the Queens of Darkness, which is great because she was the boring one, we thought, out of the three. They're still the Stooges. However, the boring one is no longer there. So
yeah, I mean, when I heard of this episode, I said this episode is going to like either make Ursula interesting or make her backstory interesting, or it's just going to make you hate her. And I think she's okay now. I don't think she's that interesting, but I don't hate her anymore. Like, I think it's okay. I'm glad she's gone. Like,
right, it was kind of redeeming for the character. As a character, it was pretty much redeeming. But great send off. So.
Yeah, and then we find out at the end of the book that we find out at the end of the chapter that the author is in a book.
Yes, we do. We find out at the end of the chapter.
Episode, excuse me. The episode. Sorry.
That the author is trapped in the book, which sounds so cheesy, but it in a weird way really it kind of fits the show.
It fits with the show. It fits the fact that, look, if an author can be trapped in a book, it makes sense that the Little Mermaid went to Arendelle and got swept up and caught in a magical storm created by the Snow Queen.
If they go in the book, though, and meet, like, Winnie the Pooh, I'm going to lose my mind.
I don't think Winnie the Pooh's in the book.
We don't know. Winnie the Pooh might be in the book.
Thing doesn't mean I know. Well, and then also we find out the author doesn't have control of happy endings in the real world, but he does in the fairy tale world, I guess. And it's Emma who brings them back in the real world. And so for the real world people to have happy endings, they need Emma to be evil. And that's how it ends. Which I think is stupid because that sentence was disproven with Ursula. Like it's two contradictory statements. It's a contradictory statement happening with a contradictory action. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't remember. They said that about the Savior.
Emma needs to be evil for people to have their for villains to have their happy endings. I don't think it's true. Because we will never see Ursula again, unless like they need to bring her back to help with something.
Well, maybe since it's the real world, doesn't depend if you're a villain or a hero. Maybe it just depends on who you are, and that's the difference between the real world and the fairy tale world.
Right. I don't know. But apparently Emma needs to be evil for the villains to get their happy endings, and I just think it's stupid. I don't like it. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of corrupting a good character.
Oh, okay, but Emma isn't really a good character though. She's just a good character moral wise, but I don't think she's a good character.
Oh no! When I say good, I mean
Yeah,
she's
yeah, I know.
yeah. Hey, she's not on this show. She has not committed a murder. Her mother has murdered, but she has not.
She slayed didn't she kill Maleficent?
Well, when you come back to life, I really don't think it counts as being dead.
Oh, but then that would mean that like no one died in the show.
Well, Maleficent was a dragon. How would she know she was a person?
Accidental.
Okay, whatever. It was forced. She had to do it. Emma's never killed someone intently. All right, let me put it that way. Like she didn't intend to kill anyone.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for agreeing. Either way, episode 15 definitely had the it was good. It was the best one since they came back from their break, in my opinion. And I'm happy with it.
I would agree with that. The Ursula stuff was beautiful in its own right, and they still kept the story going along while also providing us with the really fun backstory of Ursula and the send-off for Ursula. So well done. We also got that hashtag fairy tale torture, and it looks like Pinocchio is back for the moment, which is great because I loved August.
Yeah, Eon Bailey is a good actor, so I like August too. I'm looking forward to that. And you know what? One last note I have is Henry was not in this episode or focus of this episode, so I was very happy with that.
He came in at the end, right?
Yeah, like the last like 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'm liking this whole Henry not really a thing.
Yeah, I mean let's dissect that. I mean, season 1 he was extremely important. Season 2 he was kind of important. Season 3 part 1 he was the central focus. And then ever since then they're like Wicked Witch, Frozen, Queens of Darkness, no more Henry. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it, guys. So Joe and I, we like this episode. Leave a comment down below if you liked it, what you thought about it, and make sure to subscribe to our separate YouTube channels, which are in the links on the RJ channel. So thank you guys for watching, and we're out. And subscribe to Other Rubber, because I will review that on that channel next week. I'll review Once Upon a Time next week there, because Joe is a commitment. So we will not be the dynamic duo next week. So bye, guys.